Hey, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie.
Hello.
We're here for the Thursday night psychic show.
We are. Yeah. Where's your headphones?
Sometimes they just won't stay on my friggin' head. They slide off.
Oh.
And so I don't always wear them. They're so cute, but I got to figure out a way to make them fit better. They're kids' headphones, but they're too big for my head. What is this? I don't know. I have a very small head. I don't know what that means.
I have a headphone surprise.
Oh, you
Not
have
today,
a headphone surprise? Oh,
I do. Not today,
not today.
but it's coming. Yeah.
Oh, you guys, Katie's going to have some kind of cool headphone surprise coming. That's
But of
awesome.
course, I had to order them, in a way that they won't show up for like 1,000 years. But when they do, bam.
Welcome to living in Idaho. Even Prime has gotten slow as hell here. Prime makes me really mad because I'm like, what am I paying for? I know what I'm paying for. I'm paying for the freaking TV. Okay, let's just get real about it. That's what I'm paying.
This is true.
But the shipping is very frustrating. Since COVID, it's gotten really slow here.
Yeah, it has. Really slow.
Yeah. But good to see you all coming in. Brittany, Innocuous, Frankie, Boonbeam.
Good to see you all.
So we'll start with our usual psychic hour question. What did you make for dinner?
Well, it's in process. I'm so tired. Our poor family, we have had 2 deaths in 2 weeks. We told you guys about our cousin that we lost a couple of weeks ago. That was a dear cousin, a dear friend of ours. And then on Sunday, we lost a great uncle. We didn't know him very well, but his daughter is very dear to us. And so,
and his sister and his,
another
of his sisters was our grandma who passed a few years ago. So,
So, our poor family has just been through it. So we had the second funeral in 2 weeks today. So make it stop immediately. We've had enough.
Yes, we sure have.
Lord, enough. Anyway, other than that, I'm good. But anyway, we came home from that and I was quite tired and didn't do much. So I now have a roast in the Instant Pot. So by the time we're done with the show, it'll be getting close to done. And and I asked someone else in this house to please make a vegetable because I'm too tired. Yeah. So I'm guessing he's going to do Brussels sprouts and bacon because that's his signature dish. I'll roll with that. So that's it. I mean, that's just that's all I got. What did you make for dinner?
I didn't make anything, but Rhonda did. She made ham and eggs. So we're kind of a fan of breakfast for dinner.
I'm very jealous. I love breakfast for dinner, and nobody else in my house likes that.
Really? Oh, we do. If we're kind of having a busy night and everybody's tired, that's so fast and easy. So that's what we had for dinner.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. I love it. Our mom used to do that. That was like a favorite meal when we were kids. Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
But people get all weird about it around here. So
really? Oh. Cranky had pizza. And Cammie says leftover lasagna. Ooh, I love leftover lasagna.
We'll be right over.
Right? Very good.
Yeah. Nice. Well,
I know that you brought some show and tell of something. Oh, Cammie says they had breakfast for dinner too. Sweet. See?
Great minds think alike.
The best thing because it's so fast and easy. Like scramble up a few eggs, throw some cheese on there, slice up some ham, boom, done.
Yeah.
So handy.
Too simple. Yep. I love it. I did bring a little show and tell. So this is a little
great uncle passed JR. So we had a funeral today.
Oh, yeah.
Cammie's address.
It was really nice. I will say this about both death events we've attended here recently. It was really nice to see people we haven't seen in a long time, mostly because of COVID, and so we double masked up and went, and most people not in a mask at all, and Christy and I both in like 2 masks,
Oh my gosh.
We don't want their COVID.
Masking, unpleasant. But I did it.
Yep. Not that anyone passed from COVID. It wasn't that in either case, but it's we're still careful, super careful. But anyway, that was the upside. Really, is getting to see people we haven't seen in a long time. So that I enjoyed that. But but didn't enjoy the rest. But I did bring a little show and tell. So I have a couple of new molds I've been trying out. So this is kind of fun. It's, if you want to see, I'll kind of turn it. It is a candle holder. And it looks like, of course, a big cluster of crystals all stuck together, but it's not. It's resin. Yeah.
They look so real, though. That's amazing.
They really do. Yeah. So this was actually some leftover resin from another project. So, ones that I make like for my Etsy store will probably be a little fancier than this, but, more dual color or whatever. But I'm pretty impressed with the mold itself. I think that turned out pretty cute.
It's gorgeous.
So, yeah.
JR says double masked is about to be a lyric in a rap song. Dude, it totally is.
Yep.
But if you have to try it, be prepared because it is hard. Ugh. And hot. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Don't do it walking in. Wait till you get inside, slap the second one on. It's hard to walk around in them. Yeah.
It is.
For sure. But you brought a little show and tell too.
I did. So I've been learning this. It's a weaving disc that you use to weave like jewelry and lanyards and stuff like that. And I've been making, this is the beginning of a lanyard for Rhonda because she wears a lanyard every day with her name tag and keys and stuff on it at work. And so this is a rainbow. You can kind of see it in the.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's rainbow and this is half of it. And then I'll do the other half and then, put some claspy kinds of things to put it on together. But that's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
So cute.
Isn't it pretty? And now my next project after this is to learn, you do this, but you add a seed bead on every thing all the way around it. So it's like a spiral of seed beads all the way around. Some beautiful stuff. Oh my goodness.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I've been spending many hours just weaving away. So it's really, really fun. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, good job. I love it.
Thank you.
Well, I sent you over a couple of pictures of the pigs to share since you guys
did, yes.
Seeing that. They've been up to their normal shenanigans this week. So this is a picture of Fiona, our little sow. She was really mad at me. I was in my office with the door shut for apparently too long. And she'd been nosing at my door and I'd been ignoring her because it was dinner time and Scott actually fed her. She wasn't hungry at this point, but I came out of my office and she was laying on a chair in Scott's office like this. And nobody put her in that blanket. She did that herself and was just up there just pouting. I even went and talked to her and tried to kiss her and she wouldn't let me. She sassed me. She was just pissed. So
get away from me. I don't want you.
It didn't take long. One little piggy snack and I was back in her good graces. And then the other picture, this is my daughter Mars asleep on the couch with her two big,
piggy best friends.
Yeah, her big piggy cuddle partners. You can't really lay on a couch or a chair in this house without having at least one of them with you at all times. I pushed this couch right over next to my recliner so that they could lay on it next to me rather than on me. Oh, and they'll lay there forever. But a lot of times, if you're not petting them, they'll start flipping your hand like a dog will to make you pet them. Yeah. But that's what Pig's been up to. Yeah. Mostly, sleeping in blankets.
Spoiled. Did you ever know that there were pigs that slept in blankets?
That's the funniest thing. It's the most ironic thing because pigs love blankets.
Yeah. I never would have guessed. But I guess it kind of makes sense. They don't regulate their own body temperature very well. And
yeah,
it is winter in Idaho. And so it's cold as hell. And we have so much snow.
Well, they like their snouts covered wherever they sleep. If there's no blanket on the couch, they'll bury their snout in the corner of the couch or
a lot of times like we'll get into straw and stuff when they're in a in a pen, they do kind of tend to bury themselves that way too.
Yeah. Yeah, bury themselves.
Pretty dang cute.
Yeah. And then I had one other thing I wanted to share, and that was I have a radio show and live stream on 1-2 Radio on Tuesdays. And I have a Facebook page, or I'm sorry, I have that too, but I have a YouTube channel, which is Domestic Mystic. If you guys want to follow that, that would be great. And if you don't, that's totally cool too. But I just do one thing on Domestic Mystic every week, and that's my show on Tuesdays. And it's a psychic reading show. But once a month, I do a really fun thing. I pull a card from the Fairy Tale Tarot deck. The Fairy Tale Tarot is so much fun. This is what it looks like. And this I inherited from my mom. It was in her stuff. She had so many cool decks of cards and books and stuff.
She did.
So I inherited Fairy Tale Tarot. So every full moon on my show, I pull the Fairy Tale Tarot card and then read the fairy tale on the air, and then we interpret it for the upcoming full moon. So we're sharing a link in the chat room for that if you guys want to watch it at some point. That is Fairy Tale Tarot for this full moon cycle starting on Sunday. It was a story about a mermaid and a boy. It's kind of fun. The book tells you what, the fairy tale's there, of course, but also what region of the world the fairy tale came from, because they're international stories. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, so I just thought I'd share that in case you guys were interested. And again, if you could also just find that over on YouTube, Domestic Mystic on YouTube. So
there you
I
go.
know not all of you guys are in the chat room, so there you go.
Right. Have to help everybody out. Carly says one of our dogs is a burrower. He'll get in the laundry pile deep and we don't see him. My dachshund does that and has scared the living shit out of me several times. I'm like doing the laundry and all of a sudden her head pops up and she has scared me so bad because laundry particularly, man, she is all over that.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Carly, I'm glad you're not alone in this.
Yeah. Glowing Ember has put herself in timeout in the corner. Because she's late. It's okay. RJ was late too. And we're not mad.
We're not mad.
We were mostly on time today, which is a miracle.
We were. You were really expecting us to be late because we generally are. So, no
Lauren, the Fairy Tale Tarot is awesome. It is a super fun deck. You can still buy it, I think, on Amazon. The author is Lisa Hunt, and it is a super fun deck.
It is. It's really cool.
Yeah. Hey, Shell.
Shell just came in, and Lauren and Elizabeth, and got lots of you here. It's so nice.
Oh, Moonbeams, Chihuahuas love blankets. Mine do too. And I have to, if people come over here, I have to be like, there's dogs in that blanket, because they'll just go plop down on the couch and, oh no, there's definitely dogs in there.
Tiny little Chihuahuas in there.
Tiny Chihuahuas.
Carly says her dog is a dachshund too. Yeah. Dachshunds and blankies. Do you guys know what a whoopee is? You know how little kids call their blankets whoopee? Well, that's actually what we call our dachshund. That her name is Hermione, and we were going to call her Nini, but almost immediately we started calling her Whoopee because she absolutely lives for blankets. Yeah. And so 3.5 years later, her name is Whoopee.
Yep.
She doesn't.
Whoops is a banky girl.
Who Nini is. That's pretty funny. Well, we wanted to talk a little bit today, and we definitely will be doing some readings, so you're welcome to put your requests up. Cranky also loves blankies. Are you a dachshund or a Chihuahua? We want to talk a little bit about ancestral healing and the work that Katie and I have done with ancestral healing and continue to do, and kind of what it is and the benefits of it, because it's a really useful healing modality to help break patterns. So, Katie, tell us a little bit about what you do with ancestral healing.
Okay. So ancestral healing for me is looking for scars on your DNA that could be contributing to behaviors or situations in your life at this point. So for the way it started for me, actually, was on the radio, of all places. I was doing a reading for a client, and she had been unemployed for 2 years and just couldn't make anything work and was just in a bad pattern. And I had done a bunch of like past life work on this and current life work on this, and we still hadn't broken the pattern. And as I'm working with her, my guides told me, you need to go way back. And I said, I have gone way back. I've done the past life work. And they said, no, this isn't, you need to go way back. And still, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And they said, you got to go back into her DNA. You have to go back into her ancestry and find the place where these issues with jobs and money started. This was the first I'd ever even considered that. And so, it probably didn't make for good radio because it was a brand new concept for me. But we went back 7 generations to a grandfather who had money, and then through a political upheaval, had everything stripped from him and couldn't provide for his family. They were in terrible poverty until he died. And he had so much trauma from that experience. And so on the scars on his DNA from that trauma over money and over work because he was totally unhireable. There was nothing he could do. Like, he was a pariah in his town. And that energy had carried forward, that scar, throughout his family line. And so then I was shown how to heal those scars and remove them and replace them with something better, and then how to push that energy all the way through his posterity clear to my client. And then I was told to go 3 generations beyond her to make sure that we broke the pattern completely. Yeah. So that started this. So we did this on the air. It was a big, long rigmarole of learning and trying. And what happened from that is that 2 days later, she got a job offer. And 2 days after that, she got another one. And we went, okay, we're on to something. So I kept working and I kept asking. And on a whim, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if emotional scars actually show up on DNA? So I Googled scars on DNA, just thinking, because I was researching and working. And what comes up? Pages and pages and pages of a scientific study called epigenetics. And epigenetics is literally the study of scars on your DNA. Yeah. And so I went, well, okay, then, by God, we're on to something. Scars on your DNA are caused by highly emotional events that literally make their mark, that can be passed on to posterity. So a really easy example of that is Chernobyl. When Chernobyl happened, all of the women in the area who were pregnant at that time or had children over the course of a certain number of years, their children had a much higher rate of anxiety disorders than children that were born before Chernobyl in the same area. Oh, yeah. Pretty obvious why, Yeah. But they were these babies. And then, of course, the children to come were wearing the scars of their mothers from all of that trauma. So from that spun off from working using that DNA theory on a lot of different topics. Money has been a huge one with my clients. So has shame. So has domestic violence. So has addiction. And lots of other things. I mean, I could fill an hour of just stories about amazing things that have happened with DNA clearing, but I won't today. But that's how it started for me and what it looks like for me. So does that answer your question? Probably then and more so.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And
it is.
I go at it from a little different angle than you, but I think it's kind of the same end, really. So one of the things that the huge work that I do is attachment work, and attachments that go back multiple generations. And a lot of this is related to sexual assault and pedophilia. And attachments that jump from one family member to another, and then they continue the pattern. The abuse doesn't end in this generation, it continues to the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and being able to clear those attachments and end that pattern. Usually the work that I do is related to abuse and trauma around abuse, and how to clear the energetic attachments that are jumping from generation to generation to generation. And, we know a lot about this because there's a long history of it in our own family. And our parents broke the pattern. And so, learning from them and learning how to break the pattern that had been going on for many years, back several generations, and where the attachments started. And sometimes there's an entity involved that is jumping from one person to the next and continuing over multiple generations. I've worked with whole families, like women in 3 or 4 generations of family members who all, like in person, worked with them, who, they're trying to break the cycle of some kind of abuse that's gone on in their family, and pulling and clearing all of those attachments and releasing the entity that has, started back many generations ago and still exists in their family and continues to, jump from the old generation to the new one over and over and over again, and repeating those patterns of abuse. And it's super, super powerful stuff, but it's so important to realize that it actually exists, And if we all take a moment to think about ourselves and our families and the patterns that have repeated over and over again in our families, you can totally see that it's there, and it's such a powerful thing to be able to break those patterns and go, this is not going to continue into the next generation.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways to do that. Our mom was a pattern breaker. Our mom told the truth no matter what. She did not keep anybody's secrets. And if you grew up in a family where there's a long history of sexual abuse of children, that continues because there are people who keep the secret, right?
Oh, yeah. The secret keepers.
No.
Yep.
My mom was not a secret keeper. My mom was a get on the phone and tell everybody she knew as soon as something came out. She did it many times. And there were a lot of people in our family angry with her. And, even right up until her death, didn't really like her because she did that. But she broke the pattern.
She was fearless about it.
She was.
Yep. And she wouldn't keep your dirty secrets. She didn't care.
No, absolutely would not.
Yep.
And it's just very, very interesting stuff. And so it's something we have brought up a time or two on the show, and we thought we'd talk about it a little bit more deeply. Definitely something that Katie and I both work on. On the hotlines where we work is this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So frequently, because patterns like this in families, they keep us sick,
Oh, yeah.
For one thing, our secrets keep us sick. We know that to be true. And families that keep a lot of secrets, and she came from a family that is insanely secretive. They still are.
So bad.
Referring back to the funeral we were at today, this family just keeps an unbelievable amount of secrets from each other, and just unspoken things everyone knows, but we're still not going to talk about. It's painful. It's painful to be around them with all of those elephants in the room that we're not discussing. But yeah, she wasn't having it. But our dad's family was a lot the same way. Yes. And that partly is, and I know you guys, I don't want to seem like we're always picking on the Mormon church, but we were raised in it. And I know other religions are just as bad for this. So I'm not, saying they're not. But in the LDS church, there is a lot of that. Women keeping secrets to protect their husbands, to protect the men in their family. Particularly sexual assault is so bad in that church because there's so many women who see it as their responsibility to protect their families and to protect their husbands.
Yeah. To keep those secrets. Our grandfather actually went to prison.
Yeah.
For sexual abuse. He was the first member of our family to be held, at least, and he didn't go
somewhat accountable.
He was held somewhat accountable for his behavior. And many generations before him had no accountability at all.
Yeah.
So, it's something to really, consider in your own family, what patterns, and it doesn't have to be abuse. It can definitely be money. I see that in our family. Our art was a challenge for our mom. I feel like I carry that on, and we've worked on it a lot, and I still need to work on it some more. But it can be a lot of different things. It can be a sense of, not being good enough, not ever feeling good enough, that, that gets passed down from one family member to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is definitely work that we're both really passionate about, and can take a hard look at. And something came up for me. I was talking about this topic on another show a couple of weeks ago, and something came up that, I don't know, kind of blew my listeners' minds and kind of blows mine too every time I talk about it. But Did you know that when you have unprotected sex with someone, that a bit of their DNA remains in your body?
Right.
It does.
Well,
And
heterosexual sex.
what's that? Well, heterosexual sex, yeah.
I do have to say that.
And so years ago, I had a client who came in for some DNA work, and it was on a pretty specific subject, and of feeling really helpless and unable to help people around her and unable to make the difference in her life that she felt like she was supposed to. And that feeling of like, I know I'm supposed to be doing something, but I can't figure out what it is, or I can't make it happen.
Yeah.
That stuff and some other things. But so I call in this grandfather who's showing me where it started for her. And he's showing me standing next to a river and standing next to a very old car and standing next to a river. And I'm telling her about this and how he's sobbing and he's feeling extremely helpless and unable. And she sits straight up on my table and she's like, stop. She's like, I got to tell you something really crazy. She said, that's not my grandfather. That's my ex-husband's grandfather. And we went, oh. So then I thought about, because I've read this before about, remaining DNA, right?
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, hell, that's interesting. So we dug into it. And indeed, so he had been, as a child, as like a 6-year-old, he was in a car accident with his parents in like a really old, like Model T or something like that rolled into a river. And he was ejected and lived, and they both died. And he watched them die in a river in this car that sunk, and they couldn't get to shore. And yeah, it was a horrifying thing. He ended up in an orphanage, and he had quite the life. But anyway, he struggled his whole life with those feelings of guilt over watching them die and not being able to help them. And anyway, so that was this huge wake-up call of, oh my God. So it's not just our DNA. It could potentially also be DNA of people that you have had intimate time with. And so I don't want that to like rock your clock. I know Elizabeth says that is a scary thought. True. And I'm not saying that is always the case, but in this case it was. And I've seen it a couple of other times. And so anyway, it's food for thought, a big mind bender, I know. But something to consider.
I have another huge mind bender for you. So because of my immune system disease, I get other people's plasma. I get their white blood cells every week. I get the white blood cells of about 1,000 different people into my system every week. And I have really been questioning how much of what I'm carrying in the last 4 years or have been struggling with lately came from someone I didn't even know. Because this is going to be me for the rest of my life. And so actually, Katie, I've been meaning to talk to you about that and have you do some work on that, because I'm carrying a whole, like, I tested positive a couple of years ago for hepatitis B antibodies. I've never had it, but I have the antibodies because someone who's donated plasma and I got their plasma had it and I got their antibodies. So I have all this stuff floating around in my system that didn't originate in my body.
Yeah.
That.
Very interesting. I have some thoughts for you on that.
Yeah.
Maybe a weekly ritual, as you're doing that infusion.
Yeah. I'm actually really wondering about that. Like, what should I be doing about that? Because I mean, this is permanent. This is for the rest of my life. And it's the cells from about 1,000 people every time I get a dose. So yikes.
Interesting. We'll do some work on that. I have some thoughts on that for sure. Yeah. Oriana says that is the biggest reason to practice safe sex for me.
Right?
Kind of horrifying.
It is something really to think about. But how does this go that as women, the eggs that you have in your body originated with your grandmother? Isn't that right?
So when your grandmother is pregnant with your mother, she's also carrying you, because a fetus develops all of the towards the end of their pregnancy, develops all of the eggs they'll ever have. And so yes, in a sense, when your grandmother's pregnant with your mother, she's also pregnant with you.
Yeah. So Yeah, there's a whole thing about this that we don't always really consider.
Yeah. Well, yes, and thinking about grandmother's trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really
Well, and like
interesting.
I said, if that's so, wouldn't it make sense that you would gain the positive traits as well? And yeah, definitely you would. Definitely you would.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
JR
we
says, how long does a DNA reading last? I would say you need a minimum of 15 or 20 minutes to do some
for
work.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Some work.
Yeah, because you don't do it all at once. I mean, just like anything else, when it comes to healing anything, you do it in steps. All of the trauma healing work I do, if you really want to work with me on trauma, we need to be working together long term because it's not a one and done kind of a situation at all.
No. No, it isn't. Yeah.
Carly. She says, the DNA from others did rock my block. Is everyone thinking of their former partners now?
Everyone's like, God damn it.
Right? Well, Creighton says, my grandmother's had a lot of trauma. Yeah, so did ours.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, well, no wonder I'm so messed up. Yeah. Well, you think about some of the positive traits that you gained. Our grandmothers and our great grandmothers were pioneers, man, and lived on farms and were incredibly self-sufficient and strong and capable and resourceful. And we certainly, picked those things up as well. So it's not all negative, but you got to think about,
Yeah. Well, and that's was a comment in the chat too about that, asking, is it possible then that if the negative scars or traits could come forward, could the positive ones come through too? And I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
I think the theory of it takes a village, it forms all of us in lots of different ways, and I agree with that entirely. Yeah.
Well, and it just tells us how much we are really not separate from anyone. And I see this on the energy plane, but it's so very true physically, how much we are not separate from anyone. You think about who, birthed you. And that also gets weird if you're adopted.
Yes.
There's a whole other thing all about that, there's a whole other connection there that you may not know or that may not be positive. This is big work, but it is very life-changing. I love this work because of what it does for people. But it's a commitment. It is not a, let's work on this for 5 minutes and be done. No, this is long term. This is 6 months, a year of regular, working on peeling away layer after layer after layer.
Absolutely. But yes, adoption is such an interesting topic in that. And that is one that I've many times worked with mothers who have adopted children, not necessarily adults, but, that are still kids, that they're really struggling to understand some of their traits and some of their needs. And the DNA work can be really powerful for them and kind of understanding some of their traumas and, what's going on inside of them that maybe they can't really, bring into light. They can't really put into words at this point, or maybe ever. I mean, even as adults, we don't know what the hell's going on with us half the time, And so I hope that's not totally true, but it is to some degree. And anyway, yeah, I think the adoption angle is fascinating.
Absolutely true. That there's a lot you don't know because it wasn't your own history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Bianca says, I imagine the good and loving traits are stronger than the bad. We just notice the bad more. Yeah, it's true.
I think that's absolutely true.
We expect the others.
Yeah.
It's true.
Cami said, I want to let you guys know that the positive vibes, prayers, and thoughts last week for my grandma, that's where it dropped off, were helpful, I hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh, she had an appointment with the ortho yesterday and had no fracture.
Oh, yay.
Good. No break at all, just a possible bruised rib. Yep, one tough 100-year-old gal for sure. Oh, Cami, that's fantastic news. Good.
I'm so glad no breaks. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we have tons of requests for readings and questions and stuff, and I wondered if maybe we ought to get to that now. This is such a fascinating topic, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, and I'm sure we'll probably do some more stuff in spirit school with it.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah. Somebody asked me if I would do like a group healing on DNA that is not yours. I thought that might be a good idea.
That is interesting. Yeah, like, okay, I can see how that would work. Just literally, okay, it's sort of like the bubble clearing that I do. That's probably what I need to do for plasma too, is just the bubble clearing that clears everything that doesn't belong to you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So we'll bring it to spirit school. That's what we'll do. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so let's start with Bianca. Bianca says, I desperately need some healing, been going through a hard time. So do you want to do a little bit of work with Bianca?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look. Okay, Bianca. A couple of things. It was a funny thing this year. Usually in January, we see a pretty good depression settle over a lot of people. We didn't see it as much this year. We saw it hit in February, which is kind of weird, but that's been kind of across the board, actually. And I do feel like some depression has settled a little bit. So we should be very aware of that. Your aura is fairly heavy, so I'm going to clear that. You have a lot of little cords across your high heart that are just emotional attachments from other people that you don't actually need and they don't need. They just form in the moment, and it gets really heavy for sensitive people to carry that. I also feel like you are continually on a path of really figuring out who you are as a soul because, you have been a bit of a square peg in this lifetime, in your family and in your world. And I feel like that feels a little bit melancholy for you right now. I kind of feel like you almost feel homesick, but you don't know what home you're homesick for, you know? And a lot of that is just that your energy is a little bit low. But I think those things you're going to start really figuring out. That saying, it's always darkest before dawn. That's kind of how I feel for you right now. Like you're trying to get some stuff figured out. You're going to get it. You're close to it. So I'm going to do some clearing work. I'm going to clear your aura. I'm going to clear all of these high heart cords and send them back to the senders so that you can be clear from that. And we'll just lighten you up tonight so that you can keep working on your truths and not just feel so weighed down.
Nice. I love that.
So that's what I've got.
Okay. So Amber says, I need guidance on what to do about my financial struggles. I lent inheritance to my son, and he is now hiding from me and won't allow me to contact him. Okay. So a couple things. First of all, there are some pretty gnarly cords between the two of you over this. And what's happening is that is what happens when we have cords or energetic attachments between us, especially when we're having some kind of a disagreement, is that keeps the energy of the disagreement going. And I feel like what's happening with him right now is that he is in a place of being able to blame you because he's mad at you, when this is clearly, obviously, his issue. So what I would like to do is pull all the cords between the two of you to give you some energetic space. And then I want you to not try to contact him for a while. He needs to come around to the realization that he is screwing over his own mom. And the more that the energy and the cords feeds that and any attempt to contact him, all that does is it allows him to blame you for what's going on rather than him looking at himself. And I feel like if we disconnect the cords, you pull back, that will force him to look at the issue from his standpoint rather than from blaming you. And I know that might seem silly because you need it. I understand. But I feel like we have to shift the energy around the situation because right now he's blaming you, even though he's the person with the problem. Now, I don't ever pull cords without permission, Ember. So please post in the chat with if that's okay with you for me to pull your cords with your son. And then I'll come back to you here in just a minute.
Perfect.
Okay, so Katie, RJ said, could you send some healing to my dear friend? It was 2 years ago on February 23rd that her son took his life. We are all still struggling from this loss. Ugh.
I am sure you are. Absolutely. I'm just going to reach out to her through you and do some healing for all of you whose hearts were broken by this situation. Yeah, she's just really struggled to find any joy. And even when she does, she feels guilty. She's really struggling with that feeling of not giving herself permission to move on and enjoy her life in any way because she feels like she just can't, shouldn't, very stuck in that, which, is totally understandable in this capacity, of course, but that lack of joy. She's a super creative person, and she's had a really hard time allowing herself to create because that's a soft spot, a soft center of her soul spot that just hurts too much, I'm gonna clear her out. I'm gonna clear a pathway for him to be able to get closer to her so that she can feel some comfort from him more. I feel like that's been really hard because of her grief and because of the way he died, and there's some really hard stuff here. So I'm gonna clear that pathway between the two of them and pull him a lot closer to her. I'm gonna ask him to see if he can come through in a dream and see her, and we're just gonna see what we can do to help her start getting more signs, more indications of him still being here, so that she can start on the path to healing a little more. And when you lose a child, it changes your life forever. There's no question about that. Okay. Yeah, he's sure worried about his mom. He says she's so numb that food doesn't even taste good, doesn't taste like anything. She doesn't notice the even smells or things that she used to love and appreciate. She's just numb.
Oh dear. That's really tough.
Yes, it is. So, and how sweet of you to use your time here to ask for help for her. You're a wonderful friend. I feel like she's really, really lucky to have you in her life and still recognizing her grief. Because one thing that happened with her is that a lot of her world jumped right back into action really fast without much acknowledgement of her grief. Basically expected her to get over it, which will literally never happen.
No.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way.
No.
Okay, so Amber gave me permission to pull her cords, so I need to do that. So I'm going to turn you over to Moonbeam, who says, I've been single for about 10 years. Do you see me meeting anyone? I feel like I'm stuck in life. And while you do that, I'm going to pull Amber's cords.
All right, let's look at that. I feel like it's possible. I'm going to tell you, I don't see it this year at all. And not to let you down, but to let you off the hook, so no pressure this year. I don't feel like it's this year, but I do still feel like somebody comes in that really fills up that void in your life. Somebody else who I feel like this person has been divorced once and maybe widowed once. There's a fair amount of loss in their life. And I think there's someone else who really didn't think that they would move on necessarily to someone else, and that this will be a fairly chance meeting. So yes, I do see someone, but again, I don't see them this year. I feel like it's a ways in the future. You're not stuck so much on the relationship thing. I think a lot of it's been timing. You could have a partner right now if you wanted just anybody, but you don't because you've been there and done that. And you're not going to let yourself, just let any fool into your world because no way in hell, right? So it's taking longer because you're choosy, and that's awesome. Because again, you could have any jackass today, but you don't want that. And I'm glad for you. You know better. So keep being choosy, but continue to really work on hobbies for yourself and making sure that you are spending some time with other people. And I know that's been hard with COVID this year. That's going to get better. But again, there is somebody there. I see them very clearly. So I'm not too worried about you. This is going to come when it's what do you say? Damn good and ready. But,
well, and Moonbeam, I think you would really benefit from my book. So my book is called Relationships for Spiritual People. I wrote it a couple of years ago. If you would like a free copy of the ebook, I would happily give that to you. Go to our website, truecrimeparanormalpodcast.com, and down on the bottom where it says to contact us for a case update, just send me an email that says you'd like the book, and I will email you a copy of the ebook. I feel like it would help you a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Katie, Oriana, I think someone is trying to contact Alan. I know I already have this. He keeps hearing someone calling his name. I think it's either our mom or our Uncle Jim, and it's freaking him out a bit.
I love this question. All right. So it is your uncle again. Seems like every so often. All right. So, I hope you don't mind if I tell this story. I think it's okay. But years ago, her brother has been a bit of a naysayer about her psychic gifts and given her a little shit here and there about astrology. She's a crack astrologer. Awesome. And reading cards and stuff. And years ago, their uncle had passed, and he was a tarot reader too. And they've remained, she's remained very close with him over the years. But at some point, a few years ago, somebody started tormenting her brother. And it was really freaking him out. And he was like pissed off and mad and was going to get a Ouija board. And, so she reached out, and we've been friends for many, many years. And I tune into, who is it in the house that is pissing him off like this? It's upsetting him. And I tune in, and I hear this crazy laughing, like cackling, laughing to yourself to tears, kind of laughing. And I'm like, what the hell? Who is this? So it was the uncle. And he said he was so tired of seeing her brother giving her crap and doubting her gifts and just teasing her, and just, he'd had enough. So he decided to make his presence very known, to just give him a little taste of the afterlife so that he would, respect it a little more. And it was funny. He thought he was so funny. So I said, okay, point taken. Probably better back off now, because, he's really quite upset. And he did for quite a while. But I totally agree with you. This is him again. So I'm going to ask him the whys and the whats of it. So it's not to tease him this time. It's not. This is a support thing. He said he's well beyond that. He said he thinks that Alan is quite depressed, and he's trying to just reach him with some support, with some family support and love. So I'm going to ask him maybe to stop yelling his name at this point, and maybe just continue to, draw close to him and help support him without getting him on this topic, because it really does.
We dropped Kate. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Yeah, because this really does, it shakes him up quite a bit. So Oriana, he agrees that he'll back off on that a little bit and try to not freak him out. He's just trying to support him because he's worried about him. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, she says, LOL, I knew it. He is still with the Ouija board. Yeah.
That is funny.
He's got to knock it off. Yeah. But this is just a show of support.
Yeah. I love that. I love your Uncle Oriana. I always think he's so cool when we tune into him. He's a neat guy.
Yeah.
So Carmen says, how do DNA scars and attachments differ from generational trauma? Well, one causes the other, basically. Generational trauma causes DNA scars and can cause attachments depending on the situation. So Carly, there's a Cammy and a Carly, and your pictures on Facebook look very similar. Cammy says, I've had this struggle with my ancestry. My mom's family isn't close at all. I needed to trace my ancestry back to a great-grandfather that signed a treaty in order to prove Native American ancestry for my tribe that's not federally recognized. She said, this is a long story, but you guys have been dabbling in the MMIW, so I'm sure this resonates a little. Yeah, very much so. She said, it's been very hard tracing, but the pattern I saw was women abandoning their children. It's gotten better with every generation, but it's been nagging at me, whether it was on purpose or their situation. I've always said, as long as we were better than those before us, we're moving in the right direction, but the unknown is really bothering me. Yeah. Very interesting stuff, but yeah, absolutely. Women abandon their children for not very many reasons, safety. Sometimes they feel like their kids are better off in another situation. A complete inability to take care of them. That's pretty much it.
These feel to me like scars not surrounding them. It didn't start with them abandoning their children. It started with them having their children taken from them.
There we go. Yeah.
And then that scar, I think, flipped into, maybe that lack of bond. but I think it started with the
Mhm.
colonization and having their children taken from them,
That
and
makes a ton of sense.
this is where it's landed. Yeah.
Mhm. And
We
she
could
says, "I
definitely do some work on that.
we could." She said, "I've struggled as a mom as well, not at all like my ancestors, but I wonder if that's where it comes from." Yeah. I think
Mhm.
that you're onto something here.
Yeah, I do too. Definitely. Definitely. I've worked with a lot of Native American women with, ancestral trauma, for
Oh, yeah.
lots of different reasons, really, lots of different reasons, but a lot of it really does just go back to colonization and, what they went through, and here we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's talk to Robin and Lauren. So, Robin would like a reading for helping with my overall work and finances, or anything at all, really, maybe a regular clearing. And Lauren says, I'm so overwhelmed with my life right now. Will there be any relief soon? So, which one do you feel drawn to?
I would like to do a Merkaba clearing for and I don't know their names, tell me again. Who's the first one?
Robin was the first one, Lauren's the second one.
Robin and Lauren. So I wanna read for Robin. I wanna do a Merkaba clearing for her to clear out all that weirdness and heaviness around work, finances, and overwhelm to
Mhm.
just kind of put her back on the right track.
Sure. Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a look at things for you, Lauren. Here's the thing, Lauren. I feel like there's a really big imbalance in your energy body, and that when we fix that, you'll find that actually things don't feel nearly as overwhelming. It's that you're lacking resources right now in yourself to get through a lot of the stuff that's going on. And I do feel that there is relief coming. I feel like you've only got a couple more months of this kind of strain and things are going to ease up. But in the meantime, let's do some energy breathing, because your root chakra is way out of alignment, and it's really messing with your energy body, and it's making you feel like you can't do, or you're too overwhelmed to do what you need to do, and it just isn't true. You have all the resources within you to do this. It's just some of them are kind of running on low power. So I'm going to do this with anybody that's feeling that right now. Let's just bring your attention to your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And we're going to first shift your root chakra into place. So shift your hips and shift that root chakra into place so it's in the center of your body. And then we're going to drop our root cords out of the bottoms of our feet, red cords of energy down to the center of the earth. And we're going to ask the goddess Gaia, who is the spirit of the earth, to take hold of these cords, grounding us and centering us. You might feel yourself sit up a little straighter, your spinal line. Yeah, so she's going to take hold of our root cords to ground us and center us and connect us to the energy of the earth. Now we're going to draw the earth's energy up those root cords, all the way up through the bottoms of your feet to the base of your spine, energizing your root chakra. And now we're going to do what I call energy breathing, which is breathing that earth's energy all the way up through our energy bodies, and then pushing anything that no longer serves us out the crowns of our heads. So this is the same as breathing in oxygen, breathing out carbon dioxide. So when I say breathe in, we're going to draw the energy all the way up to the top of our heads. When I say breathe out, we're going to push old energy that no longer serves us out the crown. So ready, breathe in, draw it up, and breathe out, push it out. Very good. Breathe in, drawing that energy, pull it up, and then push it out. One more time, breathe in, and push that old energy out the top of your head. Now I'm just going to have you do it 5 times in a row on your own. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And third time, breathe in and breathe out. One more, breathe in and breathe out. So I don't know about you, but I feel a little lightheaded, like my vibration has come up. I feel like I'm sitting up a little taller. That's a great exercise when you're feeling overwhelmed and like there's too much in your life. to balance your energy body and also to release any heavy energy that you're carrying with you that's making it harder to do the things that you need to do. So, Lauren, I feel like that is really going to help you to get through the things that you need to get through. I also want to encourage you to do this every day. This is a great practice every day to ground yourself, center yourself, and really release any heavy energy you're holding so that you're not dragging around a bunch of old baggage.
Awesome. Very good. And for Robin, we just, I cleared all of that stuff out, and then I offered a new core belief or a new blessing into your system of being in a place of peace, a place of balance, and a place of confidence around money, around work, around your ability to provide for yourself and to work successfully with money. So that was the work that I did. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, Katie, if you would take a look at Brittany. Brittany says, I've been dealing with medical issues that are still trying to be diagnosed. I've been dealing with relationship issues also. So she's just wondering about some guidance or healing.
Yeah. Brittany, why you got to be a mystery patient? I so get it.
We both are mystery patients also, so we definitely understand.
Mm-hmm. Just today, my daughter was told by a trainer she has inflammation in one of her arms or like tendonitis. And he said, I don't think this is a tendonitis. I think this is a really rare disorder. And I went, oh, for Christ's sake, here we go again. No, it's not.
We stop with the rare disorders. We already have a bunch of them.
Right. We've had enough of it. But Brittany, I'm going to take a look for you. I think that you have an autoimmune disorder that will tie together a lot of your symptoms that don't really seem to fit into any box right now. I do feel like at some point you will get a diagnosis, but I think it'll help everything make sense because I think there's one core thing that is causing everything else that's happening. It's going to be a challenge for sure to find the right doctor. That's my biggest advice for you is to not take a bullshit answer and keep going, keep getting a second opinion. A functional medicine doctor might really be your best bet to figure out what it is, because this is an autoimmune disorder that I think maybe is the hard part right now is that the testing that we currently have for autoimmune disorders is really lacking. And so, they'll look at things and say, well, you have all the symptoms of blah, 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 but you don't test for it. It doesn't necessarily mean you don't have it. We're just in such a weird period right now. There are over 300 autoimmune disorders in this country or in medicine currently, many of which they don't even have a test for, or they are being very under tested. So I really wonder about functional medicine for you to find somebody who that really is their focus. A good rheumatologist too, but good rheumatologists are sometimes really hard to get. But that's what's coming up for me. I do think that what you have is fairly rare. But again, I think it would tie all of your symptoms together and it would make sense. In the meantime, I highly recommend that you follow an anti-inflammatory style diet. There's a few different theories for that on the market. You decide what works best for you and try some things and see what your body really wants and really doesn't. This is going to be a bit of an intuitive process. So that I think is going to be really important. But my biggest and best advice for you is to advocate well for yourself. Don't take no for an answer and don't take a bullshit answer. If you have a doctor that's all they want to do, go to somebody else. You are worth better medical care. And you're worth a doctor that will go the extra mile with you to figure out what's going on with you rather than throw some dustbin answer at you or try to make you think it's all in your head or that it's your weight or that it's, whatever stupid things they want to tell you. No, there's an answer here. There's an answer here. But again, cutting inflammation from your body is going to make a huge difference. And so research anti-inflammatory diets. Some people do really well just cutting sugar and carbs out completely. Some people will follow an anti-inflammatory diet that actually cuts out more things like red meat and dairy. Find the one that your body wants and follow that while you're seeking. You're going to get your answers.
Most definitely. Well, you guys, we are just about out of time. I want to answer one question, and then we are not quite going to get to all. I'm very sorry, but you can come see us over at Katie at 12listen.com and me on the Purple Garden app. We're available every single day. and we are very happy to help you. So certainly do that. One last question. Amber wanted to know, what does it mean to cut cords exactly? So I don't cut cords because that does energy damage to energy bodies, which I don't want to do. So I pull cords. It's like unplugging a cord from a wall. So you're plugged into your son's plugged into you. Well, they were, and I separated those cords, healed that energy, and returned it to you. So you were attached to one another in a way that is unhealthy and that is keeping the intensity of this situation up, which is making it easy for him to blame you because he's feeling your emotions. He's feeling some of the energy coming from you that you're, feeling angry and hurt and maybe some resentment, those kinds of things, which are completely okay to feel. I don't mean that they aren't. It's just that when he's feeling those things, it kind of gets his hackles up to defend rather than think about what he's doing and how to do it better and how to fix it. So that's why I pulled those cords. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much. I'm sorry if we didn't get to you, but hopefully, think about the things that we said to other people that we did get to. It's really funny how sometimes we answer your question when someone else asks something similar.
That happens a lot.
It does. And I did feel like that energy breathing session was something that most of you needed. So just kind of how it works. So thank you so much for being here with us as always. And this Sunday is the last Spirit School class of the month, and it's a class on relationship attachments. And so we're going to talk all about the kinds of attachments that happen between people who have relationships and with each other, and what those attachments do and how to clear them and that kind of thing. So I'm going to be teaching that at 10 a.m. Mountain on Sunday. Amber, can those be reattached at some point? If you have some kind of an altercation, they may reattach. I did create some space between the two of you to give you some time away from each other's energy because I feel like that was really necessary. There is an attachment that a mother and son will always have that is unbreakable. I did thin that down to take away the intensity of the things going on between the two of you so that the two of you can settle a bit, and then I really feel you'll be able to talk and work it out. But just exactly what I did with Ember is what we're going to be talking about in Spirit School on Sunday. So if you haven't joined Spirit School and that sounds like something that would be interesting to you, just do that by going to the home screen of our YouTube channel, True Crime Paranormal. If you click on join, that's what you're joining, is Spirit School. And it will explain how it all works.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you all so much for being here with us. And of course, we'll be back next week with 3 new cases and the case update. And
as soon as we ended our show yesterday, we discovered 2 things that the fallow lawyers have been up to. So we'll keep them. We'll keep them in our box. Yep.
And Amber, pulling those cords will not make you lose your son. That doesn't break up your connection to him at all. It is just the energy that can sometimes be problematic between the two of you. That's all it is. Okay. All right, you guys. Thanks so much for being here. We are True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Have a great night.
Take care.